Problem solving. This is where we analyze every artifact. Viewer discretion is advised.
Comprehensive dossier and subscriber statement, intellectual property enforcement, platform governance, and legal remediation strategies. Executive overview and community declaration. This comprehensive research dossier is provided directly to the subscriber community to elucidate the ongoing, multi-tiered legal and platform-level disputes surrounding the unauthorized distribution of this channel's proprietary forensic audio. The administration of this channel prioritizes transparency, factual accuracy, and the rigorous defense of intellectual property. Recent events have necessitated a formal escalation of copyright enforcement mechanisms, which subsequently triggered a coordinated campaign of targeted harassment and cyberbullying against this entity. On August 9, 2026, formal cease and desist documentation and a Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA, takedown notice were issued. This legal action was initiated in direct response to the unauthorized extraction, manipulation, and redistribution of specialized forensic audio originally produced by this channel. While one infringing asset, video URL, GRJ-J6MOG, was successfully removed by YouTube's copyright enforcement team, the situation has evolved into a complex jurisdictional and procedural challenge. The infringing party has submitted a formal counter-notification under penalty of perjury, establishing a strict legal deadline of approximately August 23, 2026, to provide court-stamped evidence of active litigation. Concurrently, additional copyright claims regarding video URLs OCXYIJ4MN4, XKS7AG__K4, and DAB1EE80GBK remain pending, awaiting further forensic timestamping and titling data requested by YouTube. Complicating this intellectual property dispute is the retaliatory weaponization of digital audiences. The infringing party, in coordination with the account at What the ELLEEE, has initiated a severe harassment campaign encompassing slander, cyberbullying, and doxing. These actions have been formally escalated to YouTube's Trust and Safety Division for immediate intervention. This document serves as an exhaustive analysis of the statutory frameworks, platform governance policies, and legal remediation pathways currently being deployed to resolve this matter, providing the subscriber base with an objective, data-driven understanding of the proceedings. The architecture of digital copyright and platform mediation. To comprehend the significance of the August 9, 2026 enforcement actions, it is essential to analyze the structural mechanisms that govern intellectual property disputes on digital platforms. YouTube, alongside other major user-generated content repositories, operates under the safe harbor provisions of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA. The safe harbor framework immunizes platforms from secondary liability for the copyright infringements committed by their users, contingent upon the platform's expeditious removal of the infringing material upon receiving a valid, formalized takedown request. Distinct enforcement mechanisms, Content ID versus copyright strikes. YouTube deploys a bifurcated system for managing copyright claims, divided into automated fingerprinting and manual legal enforcement. Understanding this distinction is vital for analyzing the actions taken against at $Y pajamas. Enforcement mechanism trigger
system for managing copyright claims, divided into automated fingerprinting and manual legal enforcement. Understanding this distinction is vital for analyzing the actions taken against at $Y pajamas. Enforcement mechanism trigger
system for managing copyright claims, divided into automated fingerprinting and manual legal enforcement. Understanding this distinction is vital for analyzing the actions taken against at $Y pajamas. Enforcement mechanism trigger system for managing copyright claims, divided into automated fingerprinting and manual legal enforcement. Understanding this distinction is vital for analyzing the actions taken against the $Y pajamas. Enforcement mechanism trigger
protocol platform action uploader consequence. Content ID claim automated. The system matches uploaded media against a database of registered digital fingerprints. The rights holder can block the video globally/regionally, track viewership statistics, or monetize the video by redirecting ad revenue. No formal account penalty. The uploader loses monetization rights for the specific video but retains channel standing. DMCA Copyright Strike Manual. The rights holder submits a formalized, legally binding removal request asserting unauthorized use. Expeditious removal of the specific video from the platform servers. A formal legal penalty is applied to the channel. Accumulation of strikes leads to restricted functionality and eventual permanent termination. The formal notice issued to Melanie Lowe, at $Y Pajamas, was not an automated content ID flag, it was a manual, targeted DMCA takedown request. This action indicates a deliberate, legally consequential assertion of intellectual property rights over the misappropriated forensic audio. The escalation matrix of copyright penalties. When a valid DMCA takedown is executed, as was the case with the successful removal of video URL J6MOG, YouTube imposes a copyright strike on the offending channel. The platform utilizes a rigid, escalating penalty matrix to deter repeat infringement and maintain safe harbor compliance. A first copyright strike severely restricts a channel's operational capabilities. For a duration of 1 week, the offending channel is prohibited from uploading new content, conducting live streams, or publishing community posts, and the strike remains on the account ledger for 90 days. Should a second strike occur within this 90-day window, the upload restrictions are extended to 2 weeks. The accrual of a third copyright strike triggers the ultimate platform sanction, permanent channel termination. Under this final penalty, YouTube deletes all associated videos, dismantles playlists, erases channel data, and strictly prohibits the owner from establishing any new channels on the platform. YouTube's internal transparency data from 2025 indicates that the vast majority of creators recognize legitimate infringement, with uploaders challenging less than 10% of all copyright actions. The decision by $Y Pajamas to challenge the removal of video J6MOG places this dispute in a statistically rare and legally perilous category. The counter-notification protocol and statutory deadlines. Following the removal of the infringing forensic audio asset, the uploader exercised their legal right under the DMCA to file a counter-notification. This procedural mechanism is not a mere appeal to YouTube's moderation team, it is a binding legal declaration. The legal weight of perjury declarations. A counter-notification is a formal legal request demanding the reinstatement of removed content. By submitting this document, the uploader asserts, under penalty of perjury, that they possess a good faith belief that the material was removed as a result of a mistake, misidentification, or that the use qualifies for a statutory exception such as fair dealing or fair use. Furthermore, the submitter must explicitly consent to the jurisdiction of a federal court to adjudicate the dispute. When YouTube's internal review team accepts a counter-notification for completeness, which occurred in fewer than 35% of submissions in 2025, the platform acts merely as a courier, forwarding the complete document, including the uploader's personal contact information, to the original claimant. At this precise moment, the platform exits its role as an active adjudicator and initiates a statutory countdown, transferring the dispute entirely into the realm of formal legal action. The August 23, 2026 mandate. The receipt of the counter-notification regarding video URL J6MOG initiated a strict procedural timeline. The DMCA mandates that the original claimant is granted a window of 10 to 14 United States business days to provide the platform with concrete evidence that formal legal action has been initiated. Based on the formal notice date of August 9, 2026, this 10 business day window expires on or around August 23, 2026. During this highly compressed timeframe, the claimant is faced with a binary choice. If no action is taken, or if the provided evidence is deemed insufficient, YouTube is legally obligated to automatically reinstate the disputed video, effectively nullifying the takedown and removing the copyright strike from the offending channel. Conversely, to maintain the takedown, the claimant must provide acceptable evidence of litigation. YouTube's legal parameters strictly define what constitutes acceptable evidence. The claimant must produce a copy of a court-stamped lawsuit, a judicial court order, a claim filed with the United States Copyright Office's Copyright Claims Board, CCB, or a determination of infringement from the CCB. Crucially, the legal filing must specifically name the uploader as the defendant, explicitly reference the YouTube video URLs at issue, and seek a court order to restrain the allegedly infringing activity, rather than merely seeking a claim for monetary damages. Failure to meet these precise criteria by the August 23 deadline will result in the immediate restoration of the misappropriated forensic audio to the platform. Platform data underscores the severity of this threshold. In recent reporting periods, fewer than 1% of submitted counter-notifications resulted in a formal lawsuit being filed by the claimant. Evidentiary complexities in digital audio disputes. While the status of video J6 mod progresses toward the August 23 deadline, the enforcement actions against 3 additional assets, specifically video URLs OCXYIJ4MN4, XKS7AG__K4, and DAB1EE80GBK, require further analytical refinement. YouTube has placed these complaints in an action needed status, demanding specific titles and exact timestamps from the claimant. The challenge of sludge content and layered media. This administrative hurdle highlights a significant technical challenge in modern digital copyright enforcement. The unauthorized use of forensic audio frequently occurs within complex, layered media environments, often referred to colloquially as sludge content. In these formats, infringing actors layer stolen audio waveforms beneath multiple visual streams, ambient soundscapes, or secondary commentary tracks, deliberately attempting to mask the unauthorized sampling and evade automated detection systems like Content ID. Because YouTube's manual review teams are not judicial bodies capable of conducting deep forensic audio comparisons, the absolute burden of proof rests entirely on the claimant. To satisfy the platform's demands and successfully initiate takedowns for the remaining URLs, the claimant must execute a meticulous forensic mapping process. This involves extracting the timeline of the original proprietary audio and cross-referencing it against the exact, second-by-second timestamps where the manipulated audio appears within the unauthorized videos. This degree of granular documentation is an essential prerequisite. Without explicitly demonstrating where the infringement occurs within the broader context of the offending asset, the platform will systematically reject the removal requests on the grounds of insufficient clarification. Platform harassment and the weaponization of audiences. The transition of an intellectual property dispute into a coordinated campaign of digital harassment introduces severe, overarching violations of platform governance policies. The documented evidence confirms that the entity at $Y Pajamas, acting in coordination with the account at What the ELLEEE, has actively engaged in retaliatory tactics. These actions have been systematically cataloged and formally reported to YouTube's Trust and Safety Division under the specific classifications of targeted cyberbullying, slander, and doxing. Dynamics of digital intimidation. When creators find themselves engaged in formal legal disputes over content ownership, the conflict frequently bleeds out of official channels and into the broader community sphere. Aggressor accounts often utilize live streams, community posts, and comment sections to weaponize their subscriber bases. The deployment of defamatory rhetoric, coordinated mass reporting, and the non-consensual dissemination of private information constitutes a highly damaging breach of digital safety. Doxing, the practice of researching and publicly broadcasting private or identifying information about an individual, is an exceptionally severe violation. It bridges the gap between digital annoyance and physical world vulnerability. In the context of copyright enforcement, doxing is frequently leveraged as a mechanism of extralegal coercion, designed to intimidate, humiliate, and terrify the claimant into retracting their DMCA takedown requests to preserve their personal safety. The dissemination of personally identifiable information, PII, destroys the operational security necessary to function as a public digital creator. Trust and safety enforcement protocols. YouTube's trust and safety architecture maintains stringent, zero-tolerance policies regarding content that endangers user safety or constitutes sustained, targeted harassment. The platform explicitly defines targeted harassment as sustained patterns of content directed at specific individuals with the malicious intent to humiliate, threaten, or dox. When trust and safety escalation teams review reports of this severity, their analytical methodology differs fundamentally from copyright reviews. They do not merely assess isolated videos, they evaluate the holistic, longitudinal behavior of the accused accounts. Violations that trigger immediate escalation include: the publication or dissemination of someone's private, personally identifiable information, PII. Directives encouraging audience members to launch abusive attacks against a specific target. The fabrication of alarming claims that imply implicit or explicit threats of violence or retaliatory conflict. Repeatedly targeting an individual with malicious, defamatory claims across multiple platform surfaces. If the Trust and Safety Division determines that at $Y pajamas and at what the ELLEEE are utilizing platform tools to execute a coordinated doxing or cyberbullying campaign, the resulting sanctions bypass the standard copyright strike system entirely. Severe policy infringements related to user safety, implicit threats, and the weaponization of PII routinely result in the immediate and permanent termination of the offending channels, regardless of their prior standing. The formalized reporting of these activities establishes a vital, documented chain of custody for the abuse, which is essential not only for platform moderation but for establishing a foundation for potential civil litigation concerning defamation, interference with economic relations, or intentional infliction of emotional distress. Legal remediation and the Canadian jurisprudential framework. To address the impending August 23, 2026 deadline and effectively counter the aggressive infringement tactics, it is necessary to examine the available legal mechanisms. For rights holders operating within the Canadian legal framework, the Federal Court of Canada provides a highly structured, scalable environment for resolving intellectual property disputes. The efficacy of statutory damages. The Canadian Copyright Act offers a distinct strategic advantage for plaintiffs through the availability of statutory damages. In traditional litigation, a plaintiff bears the heavy burden of proving specific, quantifiable financial losses directly attributable to the infringement, or they must successfully calculate the illicit profits generated by the defendant. In the context of digital audio misappropriation, establishing these exact metrics is notoriously difficult and highly resource-intensive. Canadian statutory damages circumvent this evidentiary hurdle. Section 38.1(1) of the Act permits a plaintiff to elect to recover compensation for infringed work, rather than actual damages. For commercial infringement, the court is granted the discretion to award statutory damages ranging from a minimum of $500 up to a maximum of $20,000 for each individual work infringed. For non-commercial infringement, the range is capped lower, typically between $100 and $5,000. This statutory provision radically alters the risk calculus for the infringing party, as the potential financial liability scales exponentially with each unauthorized use, regardless of the direct profit generated by the stolen audio. The Federal Court Simplified Action Mechanism. To streamline the pursuit of intellectual property claims, the federal court's rules provide a procedural pathway known as a simplified action. This mechanism is automatically applicable to claims exclusively seeking monetary relief that does not exceed $100,000. The simplified action framework is uniquely suited for addressing digital copyright infringement, as it significantly reduces the procedural friction and initial capital required to commence litigation. The accessibility of this pathway is reflected directly in the mandatory federal court registry fee structure. The costs are deliberately tiered to lower the barrier to entry for smaller claims. Federal Court Proceeding Type Registry Filing Fee, CAD, Statutory Reference. Simplified Action, Claims / LA $100,000, $50 Tariff A, Rule 1(1)(a), 2. Standard Action, Complex / High Value Litigation, $150 Tariff A, Rule 1(1)(a), 3. Requisition for Pretrial Conference, Simplified, $100 Tariff A, Rule 1(2)(d)(i). Requisition for Pretrial Conference, Standard, $300 Tariff A, Rule 1(2)(d)(2). Filing a statement of claim via a simplified action for the nominal registry fee of $50 generates the official, court-stamped lawsuit documentation required by YouTube to sustain a DMCA takedown against a counter-notification. This strategic legal maneuver not only satisfies the platform's stringent 10-business-day evidentiary requirement but also formally exposes the infringing party to the full weight of statutory damages and injunctions. Furthermore, Canadian litigation operates fundamentally on the loser pays principle, wherein the successful litigant is entitled to recover a portion of their legal expenses from the opposing party. While costs were historically calculated using the rigid parameters of Tariff B, the federal court has increasingly recognized that these tariffs fail to provide adequate indemnification in complex intellectual property matters. Consequently, the court routinely exercises its discretion to award costs as a lump sum based on a percentage of the actual, reasonable legal fees incurred by the successful party. This evolving jurisprudence ensures that rights holders are not economically penalized for federal litigation, even through streamlined processes like the simplified action, necessitates significant legal acumen. For creators and rights holders situated in or operating adjacent to Calgary, Alberta, the local academic and legal ecosystems offer substantial infrastructure designed to democratize access to high-level intellectual property protection. The Government of Canada, recognizing the critical importance of intangible assets in the modern economy, launched the National Intellectual Property Strategy. A core component of this initiative was the allocation of $1 million in grants and contributions to encourage the establishment and enhancement of IP legal clinics within Canadian universities. This strategic funding was designed to bridge the gap in IP knowledge and provide specialized clinical programs that operate on a low-cost or pro bono basis. The Business Venture Clinic. The Business Venture Clinic offers highly targeted, hands-on legal support for entrepreneurs and creators navigating the complexities of intellectual property. The clinic pairs upper-year law students with clients, operating under the direct supervision of experienced mentor lawyers who practice locally in the IP field. This clinical environment provides actionable deliverables, including the drafting of intellectual property licensing agreements, conducting IP due diligence, and advising on strategies for securing and enforcing digital assets. By utilizing the Business Venture Clinic, digital creators can secure the foundational legal architecture necessary to protect their forensic audio prior to formal litigation. Public Interest Law Clinic and Student Legal Advocacy and Access to Justice. The Public Interest Law Clinic adherence to community guidelines are the most effective forms of support during this period. The unauthorized extraction and weaponization of digital assets is a systemic issue within the creator economy. By strictly adhering to the procedural mechanisms of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, leveraging the statutory damages framework of the Canadian Federal Court, and relying on localized intellectual property resources, this channel remains fully committed to defending its proprietary output. The subscriber base will receive further, objective updates as the legal timelines advance and the platform renders its final determinations on the harassment escalations. Will receive further, objective updates as the legal timelines advance and the platform renders its final determinations on the harassment escalations.